We're live from our studios here in Kokomlimle on digital address GA0992539. This is your home of fearless, credible and independent journalism. Our lead stories this hour. Accidents claim more lives. 11 on the spot in the Savannah region, 2 here in Accra and 1 in the central region, a University of Cape Coast student. We catalogue the accident and hear from the Accra region police, and these are all coming on the back just shortly after we screened our documentary Crushed. And residents cry out against insecurity as suspected armed robberies soar in Takrade, Kumasi. And in Kumasi, a woman is found dead in an abandoned building. And in Kaswa, a spiritualist reveals how young men between 15 and 20-year-olds frequent his premises looking for quick money and to win the hearts of ladies. Details coming up. Also in this edition, President Akufo-Addo reiterates what he says is his determination to strictly enforce laws against illegal mining, irrespective of who is involved. We hear from the president, who has been opening a 2-day national dialogue aimed at solutions to the age-old problem of galamsey. The Pulse is brought to you by Global Communities, Dignilu, Affordable, Safe Sanitation. Do join us on DSTV 421, Go TV 144. Remember, we're streaming live on YouTube and on our social media handles. You get some details. I'm Gifty Andopia. This is The Pulse. Please be my guest. More than 12 people have died in 2 separate accidents at Alipe in the Savannah region and Tesano here in Accra. In the Alipe accident, 12 people, including a 9-year-old girl, died on the spot following a crash between a DAF tipper truck loaded with sand and a Tamale-bound Toyota minibus with about 18 passengers on board. Salifu Abudu Hamdan witnessed the incident. Here is his account.
When it was raining, so in our bureau house, when we hear the sound on the roadside, 2 lorry cars have crashed each other. One is the Nissan Ovan, and the other one is the tipper truck, which is from Yape. It was from Yape going to Tamale, and the other one was going to Kumasi. We don't know where it is, exactly where it is going. So when we came, we met the 2 cars, and they already crashed, and a lot of lives were lost. So immediately the accident happened, 11 people lost their lives. And the tipper driver, they sent him to the hospital. So this one, we heard that he also lost his life, making 12. And this is the main road. We complain a lot. Our Speaker of Parliament, it was on Thursday, that was 2019.
I left here, I've closed here somewhere 6:37, and I was on my way to Tamale. So because of the wind, I have to stop at Alipe. So I was with one of my unit committee member. I'm the former assemblyman. Yes, when they called him that there's an accident on the roadside, so we went out, and it was a tipper truck, and then that minibus, and then the minibus was, number was 2020. But actually, I was not able to pick the tipper truck number, because all the digits, the first alphabet was not able to identify it. So instantly, 11 people passed on. The minibus was from Tamale coming to Yape side, and then the tipper truck also from Yape here going to Tamale when it happened. And really, what I experienced is that normally when there is a wind like that, in fact, the drivers, they should exercise patience and wait for it to stop before they proceed. I believe it's because even me myself, I forced to stop because of the wind, because I can't even see was on the way on the motorbike going to Tamale. So because of that, I stopped. So we called ambulance. First, I've called the BNI. He also called the ambulance, and then when the ambulance come, they pick only 2 people, and the remaining
The survivors.
The survivors, and the remaining 7 or 8 people there, and they are also in the serious water. So later, one I thought it was the minibus owner who brought the pickup to pick those, and they brought them to this facility here. And when I arrived here, the in charge told me, yes, they was able to go through. And then those left there with the body, yes, I was not able to wait because it was somewhere 12 that the MT2 people came
12 midnight.
Yes, to pick them too.
And that's a witness there sharing his story with us. Let me talk to our correspondent on the ground, Isaac Nonya, also correspondent for the Savannah region. Isaac, what is the latest development on the story?
The latest remains the same as the death toll remains somewhere 12 bodies, because the 11 that died on the spot and the tipper truck driver Adam, who died this morning, is still the number that we are having. The police actually confirmed the number this morning because they were out of only 11. And when they've got the additional number, they said the number now stands at 12. But those who are seriously injured has reduced from 5 to 4 now. We are told a young lady among the injured has been treated and discharged this afternoon. So I will stand now. We have 3 people still on our mission, and then 12 bodies at the Tamale Teaching Hospital mortuary.
The bodies involved, you mentioned, I think, 12 of them so far. In the morning, it was about 11. But out of these 12 bodies, have they all been identified by their family members?
Well, 2 have been identified, 1 on the spot, and that has to do with Akosi Sumela, the driver of the Toyota minibus. He was identified by somebody in the bus. And the tipper truck driver, he was also identified by his younger brother, because he happened to come from the same community that the accident happened. So he was quickly identified. And this morning, they even confirmed his death to the police, that he couldn't make it following the serious injury that he sustained. In fact, fire officers having difficulty chasing to remove his body, though he was still breathing. So finally, when he was removed, an ambulance has to come in from Tamale to send him to Tamale Teaching Hospital. We are told the injury was so bad that he got there late, and this morning he couldn't make it.
What's going to happen to the rest of the 10 bodies that have not yet been identified? Has there been any communication from authorities to this effect?
The police PRO, Adichum, said that any moment from now, between today and tomorrow, they will liaise with the police, the hospital authority at Tamale, to find a way of disposing those corpses in case they don't come, because they are told that this period they have a lot of corpses in their mortuary and they're able to keep them while they don't know their families. Let's add that another accident happened 10 minutes after our being to the ground, because another truck that was coming from Tamale, loaded with grain, got to the same spot of the accident, and that happened, and also had a tire burst. Luckily on the path, nobody got injured or nobody died. The vehicle that's there on the road and then parked by the roadside.
Is this area known for such accidents?
Yes, I can say that based on the accounts from the locals, these 2 accidents that happened yesterday and today brings to a number of 6 within 2 months. They even recounted one of them that involved the Speaker of Parliament, Ababagbe, where a small boy was killed. Away from that, they also recounted 2-3 others, just by the same spot that this thing happened. It's just 100 meters away. So it's like the place is more or less an accident-prone zone that authorities need to focus on. The one highway authorities are the assembly and then the chief to see whether there will be a possibility of erecting speed tables or pacifying the environment or whatever, so that they can all live in peace.
Well, Isaac, what else is there to update our viewers on? Otherwise, we can wrap it up on there.
Come again.
Is there any other information that you need to share with us? Otherwise, we can wrap it up here.
Yes, the other information is that locals are threatening to erect their own speed ramps if the highways and assemblies do not listen to them, because they said they made this demand 2-3 years ago. And these they have just reminded them that, look, if they don't think that this into their hands and want to wait on these authorities, there are many of them who are living there, their children and their livestock will just go like that. So they wouldn't sit down and watch what is happening to continue.
Isaac, thank you. Isaac Nonya is our Savannah region correspondent. He joined me on phone all the way from the Savannah region. Let me bring you back here to the capital, Accra. At Tesano here, at least 2 people are feared dead after a public transport, as we call it, trotro, crashed into a broken down truck with Togolese registration number carrying onions near the Tesano police station. A rapid response team from the police and the ambulance service worked for close to an hour before they were able to retrieve the body of the driver, who is now feared dead, who was trapped also in his mangled vehicle. Kwejo Kunedu was one of the first persons who rushed to the scene to help.
And I saw this yellow van. I just ran into the car, the truck, and I just gave them the highlight so to assist. But we were not able to open the door, so we had to go to the trunk, the boot we opened, and some of the guys were. This truck was parked there, so he just ran into.
Any sign triangles and all those things?
There wasn't any, and even there wasn't any hazard lights on. There wasn't any triangle, nothing. So definitely that's why. And where it was parked is a curb. So I'm sure immediately that the driver got, it was late for him to brake, so he just ran into it.
That's an eyewitness here in Accra at Tesano, where 2 people are now feared dead. Meanwhile, a commercial airvan bus was also involved in an accident in the early hours of today after running down 2 suspected robbers at Antieku, a suburb of Sotium here in Accra. A police statement said the 2 suspected robbers at about 5 a.m. robbed a fruit seller at Antieku and jumped on their motorbike to escape. ASP Efia Tenge speaks for the Accra Region Police, and she's joining us via Zoom. Well, these are the visuals that the police has shared with us of these suspected robbers who were run down by the vehicle after they tried to escape earlier. But what you should know if you chance on an accident scene, that's something that a conversation that we want to have with you. The Ghana Ambulance Service says the way and manner in which people are rescued during accidents most often aggravates their injuries and sometimes leads to their death. So what kind of help can you offer during an accident? As we wait for DSP Efia Tenge, let's hop on to Zoom and chat with Foster Anson, who is the Deputy Foster Anson Bridgen, who is the Deputy Director of Operations with the National Road Safety Authority. Hello, sir. Oh, so I beg your pardon, with the Ghana Ambulance Service. Hello, sir.
Good afternoon.
Right, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time.
Hello, good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Thank you very much. Yes, please.
Right, so Mr. Anson Bridgen, I hope that I mentioned your name correctly.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. This is the conversation we want to have. What do you do? What is the first response, or what should the first response be? Should you just chance upon an accident? What first should you do?
Thank you very much. The first thing you need to do when you encounter any accidents is first to call the emergency line 112 so that the ambulance crew will be dispatched to respond to the call. The reason being that you may not have the skills to remove the victims from the vehicle. So do call the emergency line 112. Then when you call, ambulance service will be dispatched, fire service will also be dispatched. Because fire service, they have the equipment to extricate the victims from the vehicle. And then the ambulance service team will also provide the necessary medical cover before we send the person to the hospital.
You talked about skills, because you don't have skills, so do not attempt to be the one helping. But then what are these skills? I think that as pedestrians, as drivers, it will be good, it will be important for us to understand what these skills are. What are these skills, the basic ones? Mr. Anson, I want to find out what the skills are. What are the basic skills? You talked about people not having the skills, and so they shouldn't necessarily act, but to call the emergency lines when there's an accident. But what are these basic skills, and can people have it so they can help at least when it happens?
Yeah, thank you very much. When accident occurs, we have something we call mechanism of injury. And for a person who has not been trained will not know that anytime there is accident, we suspect that the spinal cord of the patient might have been compromised. So the way and manner you handle the person when you are trying to remove the person from the hospital is very key. Because sometimes you see people, they've just held their hands and their legs and they are pulling the person out. And then the person will be dangling. The spinal cord is the one which is holding us together. So the moment it is compromised or it is affected, then it means the patient's condition is going to be worsened. Even if the person does not die, you may end up letting the person will be paralyzed completely, that he cannot walk again. So we expect that even the way and manner you hold the person, we have something we call stabilization position. You hold the the head and the neck together so that the neck will not be turned anyhow. Then you remove the patient slowly from the vehicle. But since they don't have these skills, they just go to the scene, draw the person anyhow from the vehicle, and before you realize, you have rather caused more harm than good. That's why we say you must have some skill before you'll be able to do that.
Okay, I get the point about the skill. What I was just asking about is so that we can understand these skills. What are some of the things you can do? So from what you've just said, you need to hold the person, or if you need to move the person, it has to be done in a very tactful manner. Is there any other we're not professionals. So if I chance upon an accident,
okay, let me explain,
please.
So if you want to help, depending on the way the person is lying in the vehicle, only one person cannot hold the person firmly. So you must have somebody who will hold the head and the neck together, because we don't want the neck to turn. Because you know, the neck, the spinal cord at the cervical side is very, very, very critical. If the neck is turned anyhow, you are going to break the spine at the neck level. And the moment that spine is broken, it means you are going to kill the person. So you hold the neck and the head together, and gradually be assisted by other people to draw the person slowly from the vehicle whilst you are holding him together, but not somebody holding the hand alone, somebody holding the leg alone, and then you are moving with the person and moving him to another vehicle. If you do that, you are going to cause more harm. So you hold the person firmly without allowing the spine to move anyhow, especially the neck side. It's very, very critical so that we can save the person's situation.
So in our documentary that we just premiered yesterday, 2 days ago, there is an instance where somebody apparently, was mistakenly taken for dead. So the person was taken directly to the mortuary. It could have been that this person was in coma. When you find motionless bodies in an accident, what should you do?
Calls are coming. Okay, thank you very much. We have something we call triaging. When you get to the scene, you triage all the casualties, identifying everybody and his or her injuries. And so if you see somebody motionless, you don't assume that the person is dead. You will have to actually go closer, and then you check what we call the carotid pulse to see whether the carotid pulse, the person is beating.
if the carotid pulse is beating, it means the person's heart is working.
I like that. Mr. Anson Brejan, let me just jump in there. I've seen that you touched the part of the body that you referred to. Pretty technical word it is. So if you can show us again, where to examine whether or not the person is alive. Can you do that for us again?
Yes. What I'm saying is, if you get closer, if the person is motionless, and you get closer, bring your 2 fingers close to the Adam's apple, and you press it slightly. You see there's a beating at that place. If you feel that beat, then it means the person's heart is working. So the person is not dead. Then you can also check whether the person is breathing by getting closer to the person to see if you can see the movement of the chest, or you can even feel the breathing sounds on your cheek. If you do these things, it will enable you to know that the person is not dead, and that you don't add that person to those who are already dead. So always get closer, use your 2 fingers, and then you get to the apples on the close, and then you press it against the bone in your neck. You will see that's where the carotid pulse is, and then you can see the beating of the pulse, and then you will know that that person is not dead.
In another instance, there was a guy whose leg was trapped somewhere, and finally they tried to move him forcibly, and somehow the leg was, cut off, so it had to be amputated. When people get trapped in vehicles and they are trapped under some heavy machinery, what can you do?
What we do is, that's why we work closely with fire service, because they have the equipment that are used to cut the metals so that they can easily and quickly remove the person from that wreckage. So when we get there first, and the person is in that situation, we will provide medical support, oxygen, and then to the person that whilst we wait for the fire service to come and cut the metal and then remove the leg from there. So we will do our part, and the fire service will also do their part by extricating the person through the cutting of the metal so you can remove the person from the wreckage.
Apart from cutting the metal, there's typically nothing you can do but to wait for those who can remove the metals.
If there are any means of improvising to be able to remove, we will do that. But if it is so tight that there's nothing that we can do, then we will have to wait for those with the necessary equipment to come and cut open so that we can remove the person. But that notwithstanding, the team has also been trained how to do extrication with the minimum equipment that we have. So whilst providing the medical aspect, we also do our best to try to remove the person from that place in a very professional way, so that we don't also create more harm than what's happened, that the person's leg was cut off, that it has to be amputated. So we will do that in a very professional way that will not cause more harm.
Which scenes or which types of accidents have you encountered that is much more difficult to handle? Can you create that scene for us?
Mostly when the accident involves head-on collision, then there are always a lot of injuries, because in head-on collisions, metal to metal, and when it is compressed that way, it becomes difficult for you to easily remove the person from the vehicle. But if it is just the vehicle alone trying to move away and maybe crash into a ditch, then that one, injuries are not normally so intense like the one involving head-on collisions.
Is it a part of, final question, is it a part of your plans to take some of this education to people, the general public, because they are usually there when the accidents happen and the fire service or the ambulance service has not showed up?
Certainly. We've already started doing some of these trainings with corporate bodies, and whenever the media also give us the opportunity of visiting your studios, we also do some of this education so that people will be aware as to what they are supposed to do in terms of some of these road traffic crash emergencies.
Oh, Mr. Anson Bridgen, I'll say a very big thanks to you for your time this afternoon. Very good education, I must say. And Anson Bridgen is the Deputy Director of Operation with the Ghana Ambulance Service. Thank you once again. Well, we'll still try to raise DSP Fiatenge for the Accra Police so we get more information on what happened with those two suspected robbers. But did you know that it is mandatory for every Ghanaian to own a national health insurance card? Well, it is. This was one of the issues raised at the premiering of JoyNews' riveting documentary, Crossed. Chief Executive of the National Health Insurance Authority, Dr. Lydia Desani Selby, who was present at the premiering, explained that any Ghanaian who does not own an NHIS card is committing a crime.
Having a national health insurance card is mandatory. It isn't voluntary. So anybody who does not have an active membership is actually breaking the law. Those of you who don't have it here, you are criminals. So we have now made it easy. Once you are registered, you can stay active using your mobile money. We have asked those who have a Ghana card to link with your Ghana card so that if you need to go to the hospital, you can use your Ghana card. We are soon going to have it so that you can go to our offices with your Ghana card and become an NHIS member. We're doing everything we can. 24 million people have an NHIS card. Only 16 million are active. The other, I don't know, 7-8 million have cards they have not kept active. We would encourage all of you to get on board. Fractures and things are covered under NHIS, so there's no reason not to have it. And even neurosurgery, it's only covered if it is caused by a road traffic accident. So we've done our best to cover it as much as possible.
Madam Dr. Desani Selby, the heads the National Health Insurance Authority. A Kaswa-based Muslim spiritualist, Sheikh Ibrahim Ya Latif, has revealed that many young men between the ages of 15 and 25 contact him on how to get rich quickly and also to seek help to win the hearts of women. He says his teachings are purely based on the Quran, hence he advises them to rather focus on their education when they do. This revelation comes on the heel of the arrest of two teenagers alleged to have been involved in the ritual killing of a 10-year-old boy. Maswala Gbagba has more in this report as part of our series highlighting the insecurity situation in Kaswa.
People are still shocked in the Kaswa neighborhood where the 10-year-old boy was killed. A woman I've met here claims one of the suspects had wanted to use her grandchild for the rituals.
I have a 10-year-old daughter. The 18-year-old suspect came to my house. I cannot tell lies. He came to my house to ask for water. I told him I did not have water. He sent my daughter to buy it for him, but she said no.
Her friend, who is here with her, says the 18-year-old suspect had bragged about how he was going to be rich soon.
He told me not to look down on him and that he loves me. He continued to say that he will be rich soon. He was wearing a red cardigan. I told him we are not peers because I'm 36 years old. But he said my age does not matter.
I'm now at the residence of a spiritualist, Sheikh Ibrahim Ya Latif, who lives very close to Kaswa. We sit on an animal skin with our legs crossed. He says his advice to his clients is purely from the Quran. Malam Ibrahim Ya Latif told me many young people contact him on how to get rich quick and also how to win the hearts of women. He says he encourages them to rather focus on their education.
Among some of the Malam who teaches, I teach the Quran, the meaning of the Quran in Hausa language. Young boys at the age of schooling, let's say from 20 years downwards. Some of them, at least from 15, between the ages of 15 going to 20, Yes, we get them. They do call us. Some of them will even come. If they don't come because of our girls, they will come because of maybe we want money. But those kind of people, if they come, the first advice that I give them is that, do you go to school? If they say yes, I say, concentrate on your schooling. Things that people do to get rich is not an adventure for you small boys. I just sack them. Some of them will come because of our girls. I don't know where they get those ideas. Some of them because of the movies that they watch. You understand? And normally you see at the age from between 15 to 20 years, it's an age that young boys want to try everything that they see. Everything that they see, everything that they hear, they want to try it and see. So sometimes if those kind of boys, if they are coming and if you don't have experience in this work, you will end up putting yourself into trouble. So normally they do come, they do call us, but we don't entertain them. If they come, we just ask them to go back to school. Even some of them can be even 25, 30 years. But if the person says that he's going to school and you see the problem that he's bringing, not maybe because the person is facing some kind of spiritual attack and the rest, but he wants money or for girls, we advise them they should just concentrate on their education and stop those kind of for girls and money and those kind of things. Young boys between the ages of 15 to 20, they don't, well, I wouldn't know some other people, but I've never gotten a boy who came here between the ages of 15 going to 20 for a certain problem, apart from for girls and instant money, those kind of pocket no dry. I don't know where they even get those kind of names. Yes, that's it.
Sheikh Ibrahim Ya Latif says genuine spiritualists do not engage in human sacrifices. He's advising young people to rather work hard and that there's no shortcut to success.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, I will not speak for all spiritualists, but I will speak for my field. I'm a Muslim. I pray 5 times a day. I fast during the month of Ramadan, just like I'm in fasting now. Killing a human being is a great sin in Islam.
Municipal Chief Executive for Ewutu Senior East, Michael Mensah, says the Municipal Security Council is determined to clamp down on fraudulent spiritualists and traditional priests.
If you pass through Kaswa, you wouldn't see that ritual things around. Usually they are located at outskirts of urbanized areas. Exactly. I am in one town municipality. I don't have villages where you find them. However, they advertise on mass media and these children see. And this is something that the National Communication Authority must stamp its feet on.
Is that to say that you don't have some of them advertising on the streets in your jurisdiction?
No.
On electric poles and all of that?
No, okay, well, I can't say that on authority, but not to my attention.
But I mean, assuming without admitting that that is the case, what is music going to do about it?
Of course, you know, my music at my level, we've been meeting. We've been looking at the dynamics. That is why if you have seen that the situation in Kaswa has gone down a lot. You know, because of the way we've been trying to pragmatically put in place things as things, situations evolve. Okay. So with this new development, there will be another way to also tackle it, and then it will be discussed at music and the necessary steps taken. Okay. Yes.
And away from Kaswa, a 35-year-old woman has been found dead in an uncompleted structure at the Baptist Church at Ebra in the Kwabre East District of the Ashanti region. Residents describe the deceased, Akosia Jewa, as popular and respectful. They suspect foul play in her death. Inshura FM's Nana Ewuku with more in this report.
Residents of Ebra are in a state of shock, seeing the lifeless body of Akosia Jewa in the church. Those who spoke to Love News suspect murder.
I suspect she was murdered, looking at the posture. There is hair residue on this block, so I believe someone hit her with it. She walks to Krobo in Ebra by road, so if she has not died by a knockdown, but in this way, I'm surprised. I suspect she was lured with alcohol because she likes drinking.
Unit Committee Chairman Patrick Niako says the community has never witnessed such a scene. He also suspects murder.
Looking at how the block lies on the ground, I suspect the killer hit her head against it. What is troubling is where she died, in a church.
Residents gather in groups with shocked sigh as Mercy Dua, the deceased mother, weeps uncontrollably. The mother, who is a Baptist church member, claims her daughter is not a member and that there was no activity in the church on the day of the incident.
She returned a few days ago and told me she was going to preach in the church, but I disregarded her words because she does not attend church. Later on, someone informed me she lay in a pool of blood and I went to confirm. My daughter laid there.
Me bani da boja mu wo asode nam se ame beda moja mu asode am de be na ye na woda moja mu asode nti mi jimi ka face me ba ya ampa e be na da wo
Police at Kenya have commenced investigations into the incident. Nana Uku's report read to you.
President Akufo-Addo says he is determined to strictly enforce laws on illegal mining, also known as galamsey, irrespective of who is at the receiving end. For him, stamping out illegal mining remains topmost priority, and all interest groups must join in the fight, he said. Opening a 2-day national dialogue on small-scale mining, the president said mining will continue to be a danger to the society and the environment if unapproved methods are employed in an exercise. He wants the dialogue to be devoid of politics and so that they can come out with a consensus that addresses the issues of illegal mining.
Mining can create jobs. Mining can improve livelihoods. And mining can generate wealth. But it cannot and must not do so at the expense of damaging the very environment that produces the riches. We have to acknowledge that Ghana is not made up only of the humans, but is also made up of the soil, the mountains and valleys, the forests, the rivers, the lakes, the seas, and the plant and animal life as well. Without them, we humans cannot and will not survive, and so they also need nurturing. We have to acknowledge that the natural environment has as much right to be here as we humans do. In many parts of the world, stories abound of wildlife returning to rivers and lakes, parks and gardens, and even to some town and village centers as people retreated into lockdowns or cut back on open public activities because of COVID-19. There is clearly a contest between us, humans, and the natural environment, and it is a lesson we must collectively confront. We must adapt to coexisting in peace and harmony with nature. This is the time to help rejuvenate our land, the time to take a careful look at how we use the land, the time to revisit our farming and building practices, and yes, the time to address the issue of galamsey. I have said it on many occasions, and it is worth repeating. The Almighty has blessed us with precious minerals in our land. It is not surprising, therefore, that mining has always been part of our lives. There is nothing wrong with mining or trying to exploit the minerals we have been blessed with to develop our country. A substantial part of the revenues of the central government comes from mining. Indeed, the central government is always trying to find innovative ways to maximize the earnings from mining in order to provide public infrastructure. Families, too, depend on incomes from mining activities to put food on the table. Mining becomes problematic and dangerous when methods employed pose a danger to the land, the water bodies, and the very lives of the people. Mining becomes a danger to the society when, after extracting the gold, diamond, or other stones and minerals, the land is left degraded and poisoned with toxic minerals. The water bodies are turned into entities that can no longer support life, and plants and fish cannot survive in our rivers.
Let's get on Zoom now. I have Michael Kwejo Prempeh, who is the president of the Concerned Small Scale Mining Association. He joins us for a brief conversation. Mr. Prempeh, how are you? Thank you for your time. I beg your pardon.
I'm fine.
Right, I got your name wrong there, but thank you very much for your time. How would you say the fight against Galamsey is going? Because it's very close to the work that you and your colleagues do.
I think the fight against Galamsey, so far so good. It's been okay. Just that in the beginning we had a lot of lapses, just because those that were put in charge of the problem didn't really understand the problem, so we couldn't get a holistic solution for the problem. But then, since now we have a new minister in charge, we are only praying that this time around things will be done differently, and then we can as well help in protecting our environment and our water bodies.
There is a national dialogue going on as I speak to you right now. I thought that you'd be a part of it.
Honestly speaking, you were not invited, so I'll just leave it to them.
You were not invited? What? How so?
Maybe unless you call those in charge to find out.
I see. As an association, do you have plans of maybe getting through to the minister to find out perhaps why you were not invited to such an important meeting?
Maybe they tried to invite us and maybe they didn't get us, or we don't really know what happened, because when our president was talking about having a stakeholder engagement, we thought it wise to be part of it so that we can as well bring our expertise on board, because we have only one Ghana, and in so doing, if we find a pragmatic solution for the problem, at the end of the day, it will go to help the country as a whole. So we're so surprised we were not invited for the program. But then one way or the other, we'll try and see the minister and also help in the other way we can as an association.
The president has been talking about enforcing the laws strictly, irrespective of who is involved. But we know that when it comes to Galamsey, there are very powerful people involved in Galamsey. What are your thoughts on what the president says?
I think, that's why I say sometimes you don't really understand the problem. To get rid of those powerful people we claim they are behind Galamsey activities in this country, these things we can get rid of these things by giving out licenses to these Galamsey, because people have the capacity, they want to work, but then they don't have the license. As I speak with you now, there are people in Bono, there are people in the northern, there are people in central, western, who wants to acquire licenses to do the right thing. But the procedure and the bureaucracy involved will push them to do the wrong thing. So in order to get rid of these politicians and these people we think are behind the Galamsey problem, why don't you make sure we delegate or we decentralize the acquisition of licenses to the small scale miners? This is the only way we can solve this Galamsey issue and illegal activities going on in the country.
Do you think that the dialogue that we're having today, the national dialogue that we're having today, and under the leadership of the new minister for the sector, that we stand a chance at saving the situation?
Honestly speaking, I can't speak for the minister, but what I think should be done was, at first, the minister should have, you should meet the small-scale miners and the illegal miners first, before any stakeholder engagement could have been done. Because if you don't understand the problem, engaging people, you would make decisions that might not even be the solution, or that might not bring solutions to the problem. So first, let's meet the galamseyers. Listen to them. Why are they engaging in galamsey? What are the problems, and what can be done about the problem? After that, then we can as well have a broader forum to discuss the problem that was, brought about by these people. But then, if you just jump from 1, you jump to 3 to have a stakeholder engagement, what are they going to discuss? And what are the problems that, they are even going to discuss to get the problem? So in so doing, I think it's better, they meet the galamseyers first to ascertain the problem before we can have a broader, engagement. If you could recall, when the fight against galamsey was started, the media against, the coalition of media against galamsey and whatever it is, they didn't really understand the problem. So in so doing, we inaugurated interministerial committee against illegal mining, and it brought about a failure. We spent money and we couldn't achieve what we wanted to achieve. So I thought it wise. So I was thinking, okay, this time around we are going to do things different. And in so doing, get to the bottom of the problem, get to the people who are engaging in this illegal activity. And after that, we can try and find a solution to the problem. Because if you don't understand the problem, what are we going to talk about?
Let me take your thoughts, your thoughts finally on this matter. There is the community mining concept that has been introduced by this government. Do you think it's an effective way of dealing with the problem? Because the idea there is that people will be regulated so that, we can still have some mining going on. Because you can't tell me that there is gold behind my door or behind my window, but that I shouldn't mine. So we will continue to have illegal mining going on. But the community mining concept, as I understand it, is to help regulate the work of these people. What do you think of its efficiency in dealing with the problem of illegal mining?
This is what the community mining approach. It is perfect. We even brought about the idea because go to Newmont in Kenya, say, people wants to mine. This land now belongs to the bigger company or Newmont. Now, how do you get people to as well work, and then you monitor their activity? So you create a community mining for them so that they can as well engage in their small scale mining activity. And in so doing, we have their contacts so that whatever happens, we can as well, as a government, they can as well take details of whatever they do and then monitor their activity. And whenever they need help, at least government can help. That was the concept we brought about, in government as well thought it wise to also help with this community mining approach. But then, as a matter of fact, now it seems we are going outside the part of what we brought about with the community mining. Now, as we speak, now there are Chinese people who are engaging in community mining. There are people who are not from the community who are also engaging in community mining. So, are we for the community, or the approach is for the community in order to solve the galamsey problem, or now other people are using this approach to make money? Secondly, I think it should be enshrined in the constitution so that people will be given documents and then they can go about their normal legal, work. Then it will be a community mining with no document. We are only praying that government would at least give people documents with the community mining that will be backed by law. And thirdly, there are no lands for the community mining. That is, we need to be candid. All these lands are being owned by big companies, and government needs to sit down with them so that they can legally release some of this land to the small scale miners, so that at least the degradation of the land and destroying of the water bodies, at least we can minimize it, and Ghana will benefit from this good era.
Mr. Pepra, thank you very much. Michael Pepra, the Concerned Small Scale Miners Association, he speaks for them. speaking on the back of the national dialogue that's ongoing today. In the meantime, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abu-Jinapor, says his integrity is at stake in his quest to deal with illegal mining in the country. Mr. Jinapor said that despite the intricacies of the small-scale mining industry, he will serve with integrity and assist to fulfill President Akufo-Addo's vision of streamlining the sector. He's been speaking to my colleague Evans Mensah on PM Express.
Mr. President, in compliance with your instructions, we made it a point to make this conference a non-partisan one and to make it as broad-based as possible and national in character. I'm happy to report that officials of both the President and parts government are scheduled to chair important panel discussions. This gathering is truly a national consultative dialogue and will last for 2 days. That is today, Wednesday, 14th April, and tomorrow, Thursday, 15th April. We hope to replicate this consultation in all the mining regions and districts across the country.
As the Sector Minister, Samuel Abu-Jinapor, there, some staff of the Electricity Company of Ghana have accused some senior managers of the power distributor of inciting workers against their managing director. According to the staff, some top managers who are eyeing the position of the managing director are behind the petition submitted to the presidency demanding removal of Kwame Agyemang-Budu as managing director. Joining me on Zoom is Ben Arthur, who's a labor consultant and speaks for a section of the ECG staff. Mr. Arthur, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. And good afternoon to all our viewers as well.
So, which side of the staff do you represent? Those who are for the maintenance of the manager or those who are for his removal?
Well, I have been consulting for a section of ECG staff who, at some point in time, were being faced with demotions. But of course, having called me as a labor consultant with an in-depth knowledge of what is going on in ECG, I think I'm well able to respond to some of the issues that have been raised.
No, I just want to clarify so we know, because what I'm just reading to you right now is that some staff of the ECG, yesterday we had a release that some of the ECG staff, senior and junior staff, have come together and are asking for the removal of the general manager. But this afternoon, of course, there are some who are against that. So I just want to clarify where you stand in this.
Not for those who are not for the removal, definitely.
Those who are not for the removal. Okay. So yesterday, if you look at the petition that the staff, put together, they are very clear in their mind that under the leadership of the current general manager, there has been what they call mismanagement. They have given an ultimatum. First of all, give me your thoughts on what is happening at ECG, having, of course, monitored the space for this long.
Well, thanks once again. The interesting thing is that those claiming to have written the petition at a NEC meeting, there is first of all the doubt whether the NEC meeting was appropriately convened, because for anybody to be able to convene a NEC meeting for ECG staff, you definitely would have organized branch meetings for them to give you mandate to meet at the NEC level. So if you study the petition carefully, they are saying that there was a joint NEC meeting. That suggests to you that there are a number of NEC meetings being held, and that there are various NECs that came together to form that. I can tell you confidently that it is very difficult to find the attendance of all those people who were at the branch levels and who came to represent at the NEC level to even arrive at this decision. If you also look at the decision, the resolution very well, you are unclear as to who and who have signed it. But of course, even if it is one or two genuine staff of ECG, obviously they also have the right to speak. So I do not stand here to just rubbish that these are ghost people who have done it, but I can label it as faceless.
As baseless, you say. In that case, it looks like obviously that the staff of ECG are torn among themselves over the general manager right now. How do you think we can resolve this matter, especially on the back of the intermittent power issues we're having? We don't want, the people in the chain also fighting among themselves that might affect us.
Oh, definitely, this is more or less to create a storm out of a teacup. It is not like that. For me, it's an unnecessary tension that is being created by this circulation. But if you look critically at some of the allegations leveled against management of ECG, sometimes those of us with in-depth knowledge of their operations, we laugh. One of them is that ECG is cash-strapped and that it is unable to pay its workers and to meet its financial obligations. But here we are, that the IPPs and GRICO have never complained of non-payment. Even during COVID time, where they were not made to collect bills, they were still able to fend for over 7,000 permanent workers, 300 contract workers. They have been able to do that. They also accuse him of not procuring enough material. But we must also accept the fact that, yes, there might be concerns there, but obviously we have had pandemic, and the producers of some of these materials have even folded up. Where are you going to get all the necessary material? Look, the MD actually faced and continues to face some of these challenges because he has stamped his feet down and he has introduced a novel kind of strategy. We call it mystery shoppers into the ECG system, where people who are not customers actually go to the district to parade as customers and to fish out the corrupt people within ECG services who are extorting money from customers. And since he started doing that, he has never had a peace of mind. But I'm telling you, if you have an MD and a board that is able to stamp its feet down to ensure that some staff will not be able to take undue advantage of cables and then other materials available for their personal use, definitely you will not be a popular person among those sections. There's also the accusation that he has built canteen for Asokwa district office and Roman Ridge district office. If this is a true face of a unionized workers, then I am afraid which kind of union or organized workers who are not interested in their own welfare at the workplace, who are not interested in a decent office accommodation, which workers are not interested in getting a decent canteen. We must all remember that even as they accuse him of building an office in Cape Coast, if he had not built that office in Cape Coast staff would have been running unnecessary shifts. As we speak, a lot of ECG staff, because of congestion in some district offices, are running shifts. Some of them work 14 days in a month. So if you are talking of somebody who understands corporate governance, who at some point in time, some elements within their management were concerned that those ECG, a number of ECG staff who remained, and for those PDS staff who came to join them, where there were a bit of inequality, so they should demote some section of ECG workers. It was resisted. So which kind of union will want its own members demoted? So it is very difficult to understand where these people are coming from. So if you definitely look at some of the allegations which I have read about, it can only be said that there are some faceless elements who possibly are interested in his position, as it has always been. Never mind, don't forget that in 2016, a group, which I am told a section of them are involved in this, staged a demonstration against the then MD, alleging that he had passed his compulsory retirement age, which was not the case. They were actually fighting for space. You must also remember that in these allegations, they are saying that the MD is not allowing them to do some collection of revenue here and there. Why must he do that? Because if his board has given an instruction to ensure that the unnecessary leakages are blocked and a section of the workers cannot take undue advantage of it, of course, you must know that he does not stand to be very popular. But in all these accusations of not being very good in corporate governance and the rest, the man continues to win several awards, both locally and internationally. So it's a bit difficult to understand.
Okay, Mr. Arthur, I think that my question has not really been addressed, and I've run out of time. But I just want to give it a last shot. That what do you think is the way for us to resolve this impasse in the interest of the country?
Well, for resolution of this impasse, if we should call it so, those who are alleging this should be bold enough for them to be identified, so that at least some kind of dialogue will go on. If they have genuine concerns of breaches of poor corporate governance, there's a channel through which it will be addressed. Of course, the MD has a board, so they could file a petition to the board for them to sit down and to iron out these things, because you are not going to say that anybody at all on this earth is an angel. So I'm calling on those people who have all those grievances to come. They should agree, even if they want to hide behind a pool, which is their trade union. It is acceptable that they get to the round table, discuss these matters, and get whatever bottlenecks that we have resolved amicably, rather than to take to the media, throw tantrums here, throw threats here and there.
All right. Ms. Arthur, thank you very much for your time. Ben Arthur there, he's a labor consultant, and he speaks for a part of the ECG staff who are not with their colleagues who wants the general manager out. You're still watching The Pulse with me, Gifty and Dobia. A quick break, we'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back. An old dumping site in the heart of Sekondi Takoradi in the Western region is posing a health risk to residents there. The contractor tasked to manage the facility has abandoned the site due to government's failure to pay for the services. The stench wafting through the community, the plume of smoke and liquid waste are making life unbearable, according to the residents.
This landfill site is an eyesore. This is due to the non-payment of contractors managing it. The continuous piling of rubbish here is posing serious health risks to residents. The contractor, who was cutting and compacting the facility to prevent overflow of rubbish, has left, saying he has not been paid for years. The manager of the Sekondi Takoradi landfill site, John Jaba Benham, has been explaining to our news team.
So precisely on the 1st of November, Omo award the contract in Maminti started on the 1st of November 2017. But no cry won't see from 1st November 2017 basin there. Yantriame my year a beer minsankaska, and it's very, very, very expensive managing a landfill. Until Bibino, I couldn't continue. So I have to abandon. And yes, my contract is not terminated. I am still the contractor. The contract is not expired, but because of lack of payment, I can't come back to site.
The Sanitation, Finance, Environment, Local Government and the Works and Housing Committee of Parliament have been assessing the impacts of these issues. Edwin Neelante Vanderpoy is a ranking member of the Local Government Committee.
I don't want it to be like Oti Kumasi, where the building finished, the government did not sign an agreement till after 2 years before the final commissioning was done. We want to make sure this particular one, because of the sanitation levy fund, there will be money for government to pay. So government will sign an agreement immediately it's completed, so that we can immediately decommission Osofokrom. It doesn't befit the Western region. If the best come from the West, that certainly is not the best. That is the West. And the West should not come from the Western region. So I will be hoping that July we'll be here, we'll come back here to see where they've gotten to, and we'll keep Zoom Lion, the government and the Hungarian government on their toes we make sure that they will expedite work. Every time when the certificates are sent, work will be paid. They will pay for, so that this will be completed in time.
The mayor of Sekondi Takoradi, Abdul Mumin Issa, confirmed that the situation is getting out of hand due to inadequate funding.
There is a contractor who was on this landfill site managing the place, and I think one reason or the other, of which I cannot fathom how it came by, he is claiming he's not been paid for over 1.5 years. So he abandoned site, and the assembly had to step in to manage the landfill site. Because if we do not step in to manage it, then there will be no place for us to dump our refuse. And if we don't dump our refuse, you know the consequences. We cannot keep the refuse with us in town. And the assembly generates over 100 tons of refuse on a daily basis. And you and I can see that it's no mean, it's quite a quantum. Like I said, we are taking care of Shaman, we are taking care of ECMA, we are taking care of STMA in itself. Then part of Ahanta West also come here to dump. So as an assembly, we have been able to manage the site up to date. And it has had a serious toll on our resources, in the sense that resources that we could have used to do other developmental projects has to be channeled into the management of the landfill site, in that we cannot leave the landfill site unattended to.
Currently, there is the construction of a recycling plant under an IRECOP project by Zoom Lion Ghana Limited, which is expected to help manage the tons of filth gathered in over 5 municipalities surrounding the Sekondi Takoradi metropolis. Peter Dagadu is in charge of landfill site at Zoom Lion.
So this is the opportunity cost. This is the way we are supposed to do things. This is a preferred alternative. If you go to any developed jurisdiction, this is what you see. Ideally, every municipality or every urban settlement with more than 100,000 people should have a facility like this to take care of their waste. And then you know that you are covered. This, apart from it solving that environmental issue, is going to produce compost. Compost is good for agriculture. It's good to condition our soils, to add value. So waste is going to be processed and used for other things.
Now, the 2020 Volta region's most promising young cocoa farmer is bitter about the delay by the Agriculture Ministry and Cocoa Board in releasing the prizes that came with his award. According to Samuel Ameko, despite several follow-ups to the relevant institutions, he is yet to lay hands on the items that he had hoped to use to expand his farm. JoyNews' Fred Kwame Asare visited his farm at Kitikba Abudume in the Hohoe municipality of the Volta region and has come through with this report.
Samuel Ameku, though resides in the United Kingdom, deemed it fit to cultivate a vast arable land his grandfather left behind. The 42-year-old took a giant step in 2010 and started cultivating cocoa on 10 acres of the land in Kitikba Abudume on the banks of River Dine, which laid barren. Samuel, who works in the UK as a propping and jacking technician, devoted his time to the farm, not only to make gains, but to serve as a motivation for youth in the Hohoe municipality.
I come back to Ghana every 3 times in a year. That was on the initial stages when I started the farm, because my heart, my passion was into this project. So I will go to the UK and then return within the next 2-3 months. Then I'll come and work with the guys on the ground. Then I'll move back to the UK, work my ass off a bit, and then come back to Ghana and then work on the farm. So in the first 2-3 years, I was going back and forward like that because I wanted it to work. And then after, I think the 4th year to the 5th year, then I started coming twice in a year. And then eventually, when it took root, I had Noah. I started the farm with Noah, and Noah is still with me. He's my lead farmer. So whatever instructions I give him, whatever I learn, and whatever I think should be done to make sure the farm is stable, I always communicate with him, and he always give me feedback. And based on this feedback, we are in constant communication.
10 years down the lane, he has expanded the farm with the help of 3 permanent farm hands. He now cultivates 2 acres of mango, 2 acres of orange, and 4 acres of coconut. He also cultivates mango, orange, and coconut on a 4-acre land, and has started experimenting with animal husbandry and poultry production. On average, Samuel harvests about 2 tons of cocoa beans at the end of the farming season, but believes he would be able to increase yield if provided with the requisite inputs. He, however, expressed grief at how some clerks schemed to exploit poor cocoa farmers in the area.
The worst part is, you go through all these challenges and then you get the beans. You go to the cocoa purchasing clerks, and what they do is they adjust the scale to the point where a year ago I got cocoa and sent to the cocoa where they buy the cocoa class to buy my cocoa beans. I was there when my farmer brought me what we sold, and I said, this cannot be right, because the work I do back in the UK, I work with weights. So as at the time we took the cocoa from here to the purchasing clerk, I know the kind of weight we've got. So coming back and giving me some kind of money in my pocket, I thought, no, this is not right. So this has been adjusted to about 10 kilograms. That is just going to somebody's pocket. After all this hard work, I went to the deputy manager, I complained to him, and the clerk was called. They interviewed him, they asked him, and he was trying to lie all over. And then, lo and behold, in course of these processes, he refunded about, I think, 300 Ghana cedis to me.
Samuel's hope came alive when he received news of being adjudged the Volta Regional Most Promising Young Cocoa Farmer in 2020. Though out of the country, he made emergency preparations to fly down to Ghana, only to be met with the greatest disappointment of his life. 7 months after attending the 36th glamorous award ceremony in Techiman, Samuel is yet to receive his award items.
Could you believe, since the 5th of November we left Techiman up to date? When you call this person said the equipment this person, we have procured this, have not procured that. And to cut a long story short, what they are telling us is, at the time we were selected for the awards, there was no procurement whatsoever for us with the incentives. And that because of the creation of the new regions, Volta region was subdivided into 2. Hence, some of hence what we are supposed to receive is not ready yet. That's what they told us. So it needs to go through procurement processes in order to get these things to us.
Barbara Aiti, who also cultivates 6 acres of cocoa in Likpe, was adjudged the Volta Regional Best Most Enterprising Female Cocoa Farmer. Just like Samuel, Barbara tells me several visits to the offices of the Ministry of Agriculture and Cocoa Board to receive her items proved futile. These awardees and others are hoping the authorities would act on their plea and ensure the items are released to enable them to expand their farms to increase their profit margins. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Kitikpa, Abudume.
A professor of applied geology at the University of Technology and Applied Science has discovered a non-toxic gold leaching agent that can be used by miners instead of mercury. The eco-friendly powder residue is free of cyanide and other harmful chemicals. Professor Emmanuel Ahin believes that the gold leaching agent, technically known as Sechem CFX100, could help deal with mercury pollution in the mining industry. Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin has more.
Ghana for decades has struggled with environmental challenges, from land degradation and soil erosion to air pollution and many others. Although government continues public education on the harmful effects of some human practices on the environment, the situation is only getting worse. Mercury, a very toxic mineral, is now being largely emitted into our air, water and soil daily as a result of small-scale mining. Speaking at the launch of the Africa Environmental Health and Pollution Management Program, Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Kweku Efriye, explained small-scale mining is now the largest man-made source of mercury in Ghana.
Artisanal and small-scale gold mining is estimated to be responsible for over 700 tons per year of mercury emissions into the atmosphere and an additional 800 tons per year of mercury releases to land and water, making it the largest man-made or anthropogenic source of mercury. A very serious environmental challenge that calls for effective management if we have to enjoy these deposits to their fullest.
In an interview with JoyNews, Dr. Efriye indicated mercury intoxication can affect organs such as the lungs and kidneys.
Mercury, once released into the air, soil or water, is practically irrecoverable, and it is not essentially a biodegradable substance. So when it locks into your system, your bone, your brain, everywhere, it is there forever. And it causes damage, neurological damage, kidney damage.
The ministry has therefore launched the Africa Environmental Health and Pollution Management Program aimed at tackling the harmful effects of mercury and e-waste on the environment.
The project, it is seeking to manage our environment, especially with regard to mercury. And then, of course, e-waste has also become a problem. So overall, this program seeks to manage those two environmental pollution, because they are the major ones. You get a handle on those ones, and then virtually, ipso facto, the steps that you use to handle those ones will take care of the rest.
Executive Director of the Environmental Protection Agency told JoyNews the agency on its part is exploring a bamboo species which can help extract mercury from the soil.
We at EPA, we're going to complement this project effort. We are at the moment exploring the means of using biotechnology by way of plants. We are aware of some bamboo species outside this country that has the capacity to take poisonous or toxic substances like mercury and cyanide from the soils as they grow. So very soon we're going to integrate the approaches as to solving the challenges of mercury.
As government makes calculated efforts to curb environmental pollution in Ghana, it is incumbent on citizens to play their part in ensuring the environment is safe. Judith Awotretando, JoyNews.
Well, this is where we do Let's Talk Showbiz. There's more news at myjoyonline.com. You can log on and read our stories and share the links, of course, with your contacts. I'm Gifty Andopia. We'll do this again tomorrow. For now,